Listeners, gather close. This is Mr. Horror Global. Tonight's story comes from a lifelong skeptic, a lucid dreamer who could wake himself from any nightmare until he and his fiancée moved into their new home and something began visiting his side of the bed. Viewer discretion advised. The right side. I never believed in ghosts, not once in my life. I liked horror stories. I liked scary movies. But enjoying something and believing in it are two completely different things, and I always kept them separate. Ghosts, superstition, fortune tellers, all of it. I figured it was something people invented for the ones who like being scared. That was the kind of person I was, past tense. Before I tell you what happened, there's one thing about me you need to know because it matters. I've always been a lucid dreamer. You know the feeling. You're inside a dream and some part of you realizes, wait, this is a dream. When that happens to me, I can usually take the wheel. I can shape the dream however I want. Or if I decide I've had enough, I can just wake myself up. So nightmares never really scared me. Why would they? Sooner or later I'd notice, and I'd be gone. That was always my safety net. I'm telling you that because after the thing I'm about to describe, I became afraid to fall asleep at all. Afraid even of that moment of recognizing I was dreaming, because for a while there, I honestly could not tell you whether I was awake or still inside the dream. Even now, thinking back, I'm not completely sure. So let me just tell it the way it felt to me at the time. This was a little over a year ago, about 2 months before my wedding. My fiancée, I'll call her Emily, and I had just moved into our new place and started living together before the ceremony. And I was in terrible shape those weeks. The holidays were coming up, which meant a busy stretch at work. So I'd been pushing hard, taking on extra hours, working myself ragged. Then the move on top of that, and because it was the holidays, there were a lot of nights off, which for me meant a lot of heavy drinking. By the end of it, I was running on empty. The kind of rundown where you could see just about anything and it wouldn't surprise you. On the last day of the holidays, I felt so awful. I took the next day off too, and I slept all day. I honestly couldn't tell you if it was night or the next morning. I just slept and slept. And this is where it gets blurry, because I can't fully swear whether what happened was a dream or not. I was in that half sleep, you know the kind, eyes shut, drifting under, surfacing, drifting under again, and at some point, someone called me, honey, just like that, and in that state it seemed completely obvious it was Emily, so I mumbled something and tried to go back under, then again, honey, but this time much closer, right up against me, and still half asleep I muttered, come on, let me sleep, I'm tired, and rolled over to my other side. And that's when something started to feel wrong. Because that voice, that honey, it had come from my right. I need to explain the bed for this to land. We used a queen, same as now, because we're both a little particular about being bumped in our sleep, so we wanted the room, and we had this unspoken rule, almost a ritual. Emily always slept on my left, and I always slept on the right. Always. So if she'd been calling me, it should have come from the left. It came from the right. The second I registered that, my mind just went white, blank. And then the thing that put ice down my spine, Emily, on my left, groggy, said, "What? What is it?" Because if she was on my left asking me what I wanted, then who? I told myself I must have dreamed it, talked in my sleep maybe. But it had been so vivid, and that's the thing about being a lucid dreamer. 7, 8 times out of 10 I know when I'm in one. This didn't have that feeling. Still, I was exhausted, so I told myself, that's all it is, you're wrecked, and I tried to let it go. Except I couldn't quite let it go. There was this cold, crawling feeling up my back. I kept thinking, just turn over and look, and I couldn't. Me, a person who didn't believe in any of this, too afraid to look. I lay there with my eyes shut for the longest time, and finally I forced myself and whipped around to the right. Nothing, of course, but the mattress on my right. The sheet was pressed down, like someone had been sitting there and gotten up, or rested a hand there. That kind of dent. And remember, we bought the queen for the space. We're both small. There was room to spare on either side of me, but it was only my right side, pressed down, in exactly that shape. I told myself it was the holidays, that I'd worn myself down, that I'd heard and seen things that weren't there. But looking back, that was the beginning. After that night, it kept coming. Every time, right as I was falling asleep, something on my right, the blanket tugging just slightly, the mattress dipping just a little. Sometimes the distinct sense that someone had sat down beside me, and I kept explaining it away. Stress, no sleep, my body running down, until one night I decided I had to actually test it. So I set it up. No drinking that night, and I like a drink with dinner, but I skipped it on purpose. My condition was decent otherwise. The only thing wrong with me was that I hadn't been sleeping right. Because of all this, I told Emily to go to sleep first, and I lay down on my right side, closed my eyes, and just stayed still, thinking, if I drift off, fine, let me drift off. And then, anyone who's ever felt a presence knows exactly what I mean by this. I felt something beside me that was not a person, not human energy, a presence, on my right, the same as always. And the mattress went down, sharply, and it stayed down. It didn't feel like it was doing anything. It felt like it was just there. I froze. I stayed as still as it was. And then it wasn't finished because the pressing started to lean, tilt toward me, the mattress sinking deeper on my side, like someone bending down over me to look at my face. I was so frightened, and I still don't understand why a person who doesn't believe in this would be that frightened, but it wasn't a thought, it was pure instinct. I squeezed my eyes shut and just chanted in my head, sleep, sleep, sleep. I turned slightly onto my left, so the sense of it was up and to my right, over my shoulder. And from there I heard it. You're not asleep. I get chills even now. It wasn't a question I misheard. It was a statement, confirming it, noting that I was awake. And in my head I was begging, please let that have been Emily, please. But I knew it couldn't have been Emily. And then it got worse, because I felt breath, right above my ear. You know the little bit of air you feel when someone leans in to whisper to you, except when a person does it, it's warm. This was cold, a cold breath against my ear, and every hair on my body stood up, because now I understood exactly what it was. I lay there muttering, out loud this time, please go, please go, please go. And in the gaps between my own words, I don't know how else to describe it, like two audio tracks overlapping, right in the space between one please go and the next, I heard it say, it's all right. And after that, I have nothing. I think I passed out again. That seems to be what I do in that house. I came to with a jolt the next morning, and the first thing I thought was, another nightmare, another bad dream. But why can't I lucid dream anymore? Why can't I take control of these? And while I was lying there turning that over, Emily rolled toward me and said, who were you talking to last night? That was when I stopped being able to sleep at all, because it hit me for the first time. This might not be only mine. What I'd been telling myself was some private dream. She had heard it. She had seen part of it. Between the no sleep and the constant strange sounds and the constant strange feelings, I started to understand how a person actually goes insane. That's what it's like. I could tell Emily everything, and she'd believe me, she'd listen. But if I told anyone else, I'd sound like I'd lost my mind. And everyone who knows me knows I'm the last person who believes in this stuff, so they'd believe me even less. I was stuck, and that's when Emily said, "What if you told your mother?" My mother is a believer, always has been. She goes to the temple, hangs the memorial lanterns. You pay quite a bit, have a good blessing written on one, and hang it. She does a lot of those. She goes to have her fortune read. Years ago she meant well. She wanted good things for me, so she slipped a little paper charm into my wallet without telling me. I was young and full of myself, and I found it, and we had a huge fight about it, because I didn't believe in any of it. So the truth is, I didn't even want to bring this to her, but my mind was made up, and Emily had already told her. She'd been saying our son's been going through something lately. So in the end, I sat down and told her everything. She listened to the whole thing and said, "Let's go to my temple." It's a big temple, out in the countryside, a good drive from us. We went, and I met the head monk there. I told him everything that had happened, and I want to be clear. Even while I was saying it out loud, I still didn't believe it. I figured I was just worn thin, mind and body both. And this was what that did to a person. I went along, half convinced it was nothing. The monk listened to all of it, and then he asked me one thing. He said, "Since you moved into that house, have you done anything unusual? Brought something home you found outside? Been to a funeral? Anything like that?" It's a vague question, right? What counts as unusual? I'd done 1,000 things. So I sat there saying, I can't think of anything, nothing like that comes to mind. And beside me, Emily starts doing that thing, shifting, hesitating, and then she half raises her hand like she's got something to say. I turned to her like, what could you possibly have to add? And it turns out that behind my back, Emily had been placing salt and red beans all over our house, little handfuls, behind the sofa, tucked inside the vanity, in the corner of the dressing room, up on the bathroom shelf, inside the shoe cabinet. And listening to this, honestly, I was a little floored. She'd done it to be safe, of course, but you have to understand, I'm the guy who doesn't believe in any of it, so I felt a little annoyed, a little betrayed even. Back when we were dating, I'd come home from a funeral once, and she'd insisted on throwing salt over me, and we'd had a real fight about it. And now to find out she'd been doing this behind my back, I just couldn't believe it. But the monk sat there listening, and his reaction was strange. He didn't seem alarmed. He said, if anything, that was just being careful, meaning whatever was going on, that wasn't it. That wasn't the cause of anything. So I didn't even come away with a solution. And I didn't like the mood in that room, and I just wanted to be up and out of there. I thanked him and started to leave, and he said, wait a moment. There was a back room behind the main hall, and he went in and was gone a long while, and when he came out, he handed me a string of prayer beads. They were this milky, opaque white, like pearls, but not quite pearls, this soft, clouded color. He said, wear these. He said it would help settle my mind, help me find some peace. I didn't really want it. I keep saying I'm not someone who believes in this, but I didn't want it. Still, he'd gone out of his way. He was worried about me, so I said thank you and I wore it. For a good while after that, I kept it on my left wrist. Remember that? My left wrist. On our way out, my mother said, why don't the two of you come stay at our place for a while? And it was kind and I appreciated it, but you know how it is. Ask your new bride to move in with the in-laws and it's never going to be comfortable for her. Always feeling watched, never able to just relax on the days you want to relax. So I said, "Thank you, Mom. Really, if anything else happens, I'll call you." And we went home. For a while after that, we didn't go near the master bedroom. We slept in the living room. Lucky for us, it was a new place, and we'd bought one of those big sectional sofas that stretches all the way out, so it was no hardship, and we camped there for a good stretch. And here's the strange part. Nothing happened. Nothing heard, nothing seen. Dead quiet. So I started thinking, see, I was just wound too tight. I was just run down. That's all it ever was. And the moment I let my guard down, that's when it came. That night we had a get-together with some other couples, and we started drinking early in the weekend and drank a lot. Emily and I finally staggered home in the evening, both of us blind drunk and exhausted. And when you're that far gone, everything's a chore. Walking back out to the living room to sleep felt impossible. So we just fell into the master bedroom bed and passed out, both of us, like we'd been dropped. I don't know how long I was under, but this is the big one. This is the night that broke it open. Someone kept poking my shoulder. At first I couldn't place it, but it was coming from my left, so Emily, obviously. And I was tired and it was irritating, so without even opening my eyes, I said, "What? Go to sleep." Normally if I snapped at her like that, she'd say something back, get a little hurt, anything, nothing. Instead, the poking got faster, more urgent, jabbing at my left shoulder. So I turned, annoyed, and I looked at her, and I will never forget her face. Emily had the blanket pulled up to the tip of her nose, and she was sobbing, just sobbing. I think that was the first time in my life I'd seen what a person actually looks like when they're that terrified. Tears streaming, her whole body shaking, and she couldn't get a word out. My skin went cold. And then with the same finger she'd been poking me with, she pointed, up and behind me. And I knew, the way your body just knows, no reason to it, only certainty. I knew I must not turn around, but Emily was in that state. I couldn't just leave it, so I gathered everything I had and started to turn, and I felt it again, that breath, the cold breath, and I heard it say, "Do I make you uncomfortable?" And the thing that made that so much worse than anything else, it was the tone. It wasn't angry, it wasn't irritated or tired. It was pure, genuine curiosity, like it honestly wanted to know. And that's the last thing I remember. I don't know how many times I lost consciousness in that house. When I opened my eyes, it was morning. Emily was asleep beside me, so of course I did what I always did, told myself sleep paralysis, a nightmare, you were drunk, you were exhausted, you saw things, it's not the first time, it's fine. And then I looked at her face, her eyes were swollen, badly swollen, the face of someone who has cried and cried. So I thought, no, I have to know, and I woke her. I said, "Do you remember anything from last night?" And she just said, irritated, "What are you talking about? You mean coming home? I'm tired, don't wake me." And she grabbed her pillow and went out to the sofa to sleep some more. And strangely, even with her snapping at me, her reaction made me feel better. It made me think, okay, I imagined it after all. I decided I really had to lay off the drinking if this was going to keep happening. Later that day, she finally got up and said she wanted to go out for something to eat. I still had the hangover. I didn't feel like going out at all, but with the wedding coming, I figured I better be good about it. So I said, sure, we'll call it a cure, let's go. We were sitting there, well into the meal, when out of nowhere she said, "I remember last night too." You know how when something shocks you badly enough, no reaction comes out at all? I just stared at her, and when she saw I had nothing, she told me the rest. She'd woken at dawn, throat dry from all the drinking, gone to the kitchen for water, and come back to bed. And as she was lying there trying to fall back asleep, from my side of the bed she heard a sound, the blanket rustling. That soft, dry sound of fabric rubbing against fabric. At first she assumed I was tossing around, but it kept going, this constant rubbing, and it started to bother her, so she glanced over at me to see what I was doing. And standing right beside the bed, right on my right side, was a woman. Emily couldn't tell me later what the woman was wearing, but the one thing she was sure of was the neck. It was long. Not long like a person's neck. It was wrong, drooping, stretched somehow, and Emily was so frightened she shut her eyes and started poking me, poking and poking, and when I wouldn't respond, she cracked her eyes open, praying she'd been seeing things, and it was still there, still standing there. And the woman, this is the part Emily told me, was lifting the blanket up and setting it down, up and down, up and down, going through it, like she was searching for something. Emily couldn't tell what. And then their eyes met, and the woman slowly raised a finger to her lips. You know the gesture. Shh, quiet. And that's when Emily poked me like her life depended on it. I opened my eyes, and then I lost consciousness, and she pulled the blanket over her head and lay there without moving a muscle until morning. I asked her, "Why did you act like nothing happened this morning?" And she said, "What if it was still there somewhere, listening?" I couldn't say it out loud. That was it for us. We left the food on the table. You can't eat after that. We went home, threw our things together, and moved back to my mother's. I told her everything, why we'd come, that we couldn't do it anymore, and my mother said the same thing she'd been saying. If you stay in that house, something is going to happen, and it will be bad. We're moving you. I'll find you a place. And that was decided. We'd been in that home barely a month, maybe not even, and we decided to move anyway, penalty or no penalty. The next day at work, I called the landlord, said I had an urgent situation, could we meet at lunch? And he was completely fine with it. Sure, where do you want to meet? So we met near my office at lunch. I told him I had a personal matter, and I was going to have to break the lease early, move out before the term was up. And he just said, okay. Which is strange, isn't it? Normally a landlord gets angry or tries to hold you to it, or says fine but you find the next tenant first. That's how it goes. He just said, oh sure, go ahead. He even told me not to worry about the penalty, which made it stranger. It sat wrong with me, but we had a move to make, so I let it go and did everything by the book. Terminated the lease, found the new place, set the date, and that uneasy feeling would not leave me. Finally, I couldn't stand it, and I called him. I said, look, we're leaving after barely a month. This doesn't make sense to me. Is there a reason you're not fighting it? Something you're not telling me? And he went quiet on the line for a long moment. And the first thing he said was, it happened in the master bedroom, didn't it? I don't know how many times I'd had chills in that house, but that one came up all at once. I hadn't told him a thing, not where, not what. And he goes straight to the master bedroom. So I said, since we're on the subject, let me just tell you everything, and I did. He was quiet again for a while, and then he told me. There had been quite a few people, more than you'd think, who left early for reasons like mine. And even when he first bought the place, he'd thought it would be a good home for his own parents to spend their later years in. So his parents stayed there for a little while, and they experienced something in the master bedroom, and they left, right away. And that's when it all locked into place in my head. That home was large, more space than a newlywed couple needs, spotless, practically brand new, and it had been listed at a price that made no sense. Cheap. The rent almost nothing. I'd wondered at the time why it was going for so little. Now I knew. After he said all that, I didn't want to ask anything more. I don't know how much of it is true, even now. It could be rumor. It could be just something people say. But the landlord told me that someone had died in that house, in the master bedroom, that they'd made a bad choice. And honestly, after that, I didn't want to know anymore. I just said, I understand, and I hung up. I didn't want to look into it. I just wanted our things out of there. So we moved, and almost all the furniture from that master bedroom we threw out. Newlywed furniture, most of it bought just weeks before, gone. The money hurt, sure it did, but it wasn't worth it. We got rid of all of it. And since then, at least, nothing like it has ever happened again. Here's what I still can't get past, even now. Why was it always on my right? From the very beginning, from the first night I heard breathing beside the bed, it was always the right. I sat on that question for a long time, months, until we were both okay enough to talk about it. And when enough time had passed, I asked Emily. She's the one who saw the woman. I never did. I asked her where the woman had been standing. And without a second's hesitation, she said, "You're right. Of course, you're right." And then she added something. She said the whole time, the woman had been going through your blanket, searching, like she was looking for something. I've thought about that a lot since, what she was looking for. And there's one thing that fits. Those prayer beads, the ones the monk gave me at the temple, I wore them on my left wrist, and the woman was always on my right. So from where she stood, she'd never be able to see them. The beads turned away from her, on my far side, and she kept going through the blanket, over and over, on my right, searching for something she was never going to find there. I don't know that that's the answer, but when I put it all together, that's the one that fits. I'll be honest with you, even now, telling you this, the hair's standing up on my arms, and I can't quite bring myself to look to my right. I never did find out why it did what it did, why it went as far as it did. Maybe there's no why. Maybe ghosts are real and maybe they aren't. But I'll tell you this much, as the man who used to laugh at all of it, once you've heard the thing breathe against your ear, once someone you love has watched it stand over you in the dark, going through your blankets, you don't get to laugh anymore. You just learn to be careful,